There was a time when carrying a blue US passport meant access, freedom, prestige. It was your all-access pass to over 180 countries, welcomed with open arms, waved through immigration with a smile. But that era? It's vanishing fast. In 2025, the world is changing. A sharp rise in anti-American sentiment, fractured geopolitics, travel bans, security fears, and economic retaliation have turned many once welcoming destinations into hostile or inaccessible zones for Americans. From military dictatorships to collapsing economies and political flashpoints, this video counts down 10 countries where Americans are no longer welcome in, not just diplomatically, but socially, economically, and even legally. If you thought global travel was your right, this list might just leave you stunned. Let's begin. Number 10. Yemen. Yemen has become synonymous with chaos, conflict, and collapse. For Americans, it's not just dangerous, it's completely off limits. The U.S. State Department issues a strict Level 4 do not travel advisory, citing terrorism, civil unrest, health risks, and the complete breakdown of law and order. With a GDP that has plummeted below $20 billion and inflation spiraling into triple digits, the country is trapped in a humanitarian freefall. Food shortages, water scarcity, and infrastructure destruction have pushed millions to the brink. Travel? That's the least of Yemen's concerns, and visitors from the U.S. are viewed with suspicion and hostility. American aid workers have been kidnapped, journalists detained, and U.S.-linked NGOs expelled under the claim of espionage. Tribal and militia leaders have openly declared distrust toward U.S. interests, especially after a decade of drone strikes and perceived interference. Number 9. Libya. Once a popular Mediterranean destination is now a fractured nation where rival militias run wild and the central government barely exists. For Americans, it's not just unfriendly, it's anarchic. Despite a GDP hovering around $50 billion, thanks to oil exports, none of that wealth translates into functioning governance. The U.S. Embassy closed in 2014. Kidnappings, armed conflict, and terrorist attacks are so frequent that foreign ministries across Europe warn their citizens, especially Americans, to stay far away. Even humanitarian organizations have pulled out due to attacks on foreigners. Americans are viewed either as political pawns or high-value targets. And that's just the beginning. According to a 2024 report by the New York Times, U.S. citizens attempting to enter Libya through Tunisia or Egypt are often turned back or detained for security processing. It's no longer just a risky destination, it's a black hole for diplomacy. Number 8. Sudan. Sudan had a brief moment of hope after its 2019 revolution, but that hope has collapsed. Now, the country teeters on the edge of civil war, and the message to outsiders is loud and clear: stay away, especially if you're American. Economic indicators paint a bleak picture. The GDP has fallen below $30 billion. Inflation is at catastrophic levels. Fuel, food, and medicine are all in critical shortage. And in this boiling crisis, Sudan's transitional government has accused Western nations, including the U.S., of meddling. American tourists? There are almost none. The U.S. Embassy operates on an emergency-only basis. Reports have surfaced of Americans being denied entry outright or being delayed indefinitely upon arrival. Some have even been caught in violent protests and evacuated under military escort. This is no longer a diplomatic freeze, it's a total shutdown. Number 7. Myanmar. Following its 2021 military coup, Myanmar plunged into political darkness, and in 2025, it's only gotten worse. With anti-Western propaganda spewing across state media, the U.S. is now portrayed as the villain behind Myanmar's internal unrest. With a GDP of roughly $71 billion and one of the highest inflation rates in Southeast Asia, Myanmar's economy is suffocating. Its leaders blame Western sanctions for their woes, and American visitors are seen as symbols of that pressure. The U.S. State Department has designated Myanmar a Level 4 danger zone, citing arbitrary detention, ethnic violence, and widespread surveillance. American journalists, students, and missionaries have been expellador worse. In one shocking 2024 case, a U.S. documentary filmmaker was jailed for subversion after filming protests in Mandalay. His story? A cautionary tale for any American thinking of entering Myanmar. Number 6. Belarus. In the heart of Eastern Europe, Belarus stands out not for its charm, but for its chilling political climate. With Alexander Lukashenko tightening his authoritarian grip, this post-Soviet state has turned inward. And for Americans, the doors are rapidly closing. The GDP hovers around $60 billion, but the regime spends more on internal security than infrastructure. Independent polls suggest that up to 40% of Belarusians harbor negative views toward the U.S., spurred by years of Russian-aligned state propaganda. Visa restrictions for Americans have intensified. Reports from 2024 show a 65% drop in visas issued to U.S. citizens. Those who do get in are often monitored, interrogated, or followed. Tourist infrastructure is virtually non-existent. One American human rights observer was detained for 3 weeks without charges. Her crime? Attending a student-led rally. Welcome to Belarus, where democracy dies and Americans aren't invited. Number 5. Russia. Russia's descent into international isolation is no longer just political, it's personal, especially if you hold an American passport. Since the invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent diplomatic implosions, Russia has slammed the door shut on U.S. precedent. Citizens. Visa approvals for Americans have dropped to single digits. The Russian Foreign Ministry publicly announced in 2024 that it was placing strict reciprocal measures on U.S. citizens, citing American sanctions. Despite its $1.7 trillion GDP, Russia's economy is shifting eastward to China, Iran, and the BRICS bloc. Western tourists, particularly Americans, are treated with open suspicion. Hotels, border agents, even cab drivers have become wary. And let's not forget the real fear: detainment. Several Americans have been accused of espionage, often with flimsy evidence. And if you're arrested in Putin's Russia, good luck. You'll be negotiating from a prison cell, not an embassy. Number 4. Venezuela. What used to be South America's oil-rich gem is now a crumbling authoritarian dystopia. Venezuela's hyperinflation, now exceeding 0% in some areas, has hollowed out its economy. Its GDP lingers around $50 billion, mostly on paper. But the hostility toward Americans is visceral. President Nicolas Maduro has accused the U.S. of attempted coups, cyber attacks, and economic warfare. And Venezuelan state media routinely demonizes American interventionism. The result? U.S. citizens are viewed with paranoia and suspicion. According to Human Rights Watch, at least 8 Americans were arbitrarily detained in Venezuela in 2024 alone, some accused of spying, others of subversion. Entering Venezuela is a bureaucratic nightmare for Americans. Even if you get in, the infrastructure is in free fall, no power, no fuel, no safety, and no way out if things go wrong. Number 3. Syria. Syria isn't just unwelcoming, it's a war zone. Since the civil war began over a decade ago, American involvement has ranged from diplomacy to drone strikes. The result? Deep-seated hostility and zero formal relations. The GDP, once thriving, is now under $25 billion. Infrastructure is obliterated. ISIS cells still operate in rural regions. The U.S. embassy in Damascus shut down in 2012, and it's not coming back anytime soon. U.S. citizens attempting to enter via Lebanon or Turkey are often denied visas or worse, detained on suspicion of espionage. Travel insurance? It won't cover you. Airlines? Don't fly there. The UN can't even guarantee safety. And with growing Iranian and Russian influence on Syrian soil, Americans are viewed as enemy agents, not tourists. Number 2. Iran. For decades, U.S.-Iran relations have simmered in a stew of hostility. In 2025, it's reached a boil. Iran has drastically slowed visa approvals for Americans. Many wait over 9 months only to be denied. In some cases, no reason is even given. Its $250 billion economy is suffocating under U.S. sanctions. Inflation rages at over 50%, and hardliners now dominate parliament and the presidency. Their rhetoric? Openly anti-American, with calls to expel all agents of Western influence. Americans in Iran face intense surveillance. You'll need a government-assigned guide. You can't roam freely. Hotels report your movements. Locals are too scared to talk. This isn't tourism, it's controlled observation. And remember the 2024 case of a dual Iranian-American academic jailed for spying? She was held for 18 months without trial. That's the real risk, not rejection, detainment. Number 1. North Korea. At the top of the list is the world's most closed country, North Korea. But here's the twist: you can't even choose to go. It's illegal. The US government has banned its own citizens from traveling there. With a GDP around $40 billion and virtually no foreign trade outside of China, North Korea is frozen in time. The regime views American visitors as state threats. Journalists and tourists alike have been detained, some never returned. Otto Warmbier's tragic case in 2017 shocked the world, but tensions have only grown since. The regime now threatens unlimited retaliation if Americans are found inside the country. No US embassy, no safe haven, no exceptions. North Korea isn't just closed eats, a prison with its gates locked from the outside. What used to be a golden key to the world is now turning into a red flag. Whether it's war, authoritarianism, sanctions, or sheer hatred, Americans are being blocked, detained, and turned away like never before. So we ask, is this the beginning of global isolation for the United States? Is the American traveler now a liability, not a guest? Let us know in the comments what you think, and hit that subscribe button for more hard-hitting, data-backed travel and geopolitical breakdowns. Because in today's world, knowing where you're not welcome could save your life.